issues with our audio. I'm checking in. Laura, can you hear me?
Yes, you sound great now.
Yes. Okay. Terrific. Okay. I think we are all set to go here. Welcome, and sorry for the brief technical difficulties there with our GoToWebinar software. Welcome this afternoon to the R2 Digital Library Tips and Tricks. This is the latest installment of our ROOC, our Rittenhouse Online Open Courses. This afternoon, we're going to talk about the R2 Digital Library and hopefully give you some insights into getting the most of your R2 Digital Library collection. So thanks again for joining us. We do appreciate your time this afternoon. My name is Meg White. I am the product manager for the R2 Digital Library, and I'm joined by Nicole Gallo, who's our executive director of sales and marketing. A few housekeeping items before we begin. This session will be recorded and made available on the Rittenhouse YouTube channel. Your audio is muted for participants to allow us to control for background noise, but that doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you. So please submit any questions that you have to the using the GoToWebinar question tool on your dashboard. And we're going to spend about a half an hour together on the phone today. Hopefully we'll save a portion of that time, or we will save a portion of that time for questions at the end of the presentation. So what are we about this afternoon? Today we're going to have a quick R2 Digital Library overview. Since this is tips and tricks, assuming that many of you are familiar with the R2 Digital Library, but we'll take a quick look at the platform and then jump right in to give you hopefully some insider tips and tricks about how to get the most out of your R2 Digital Library collection. So, just quick R2 Library basics. The R2 Library is a web-based database. It's specialized for health sciences, meaning that we're focused in the areas of medicine, nursing, and allied health ebooks. There's a wide range of publisher content, all delivered through a single platform, 75 leading publishers, currently about 5,300 active titles, and hopefully easy access and authentication. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the tips and tricks portion of the presentation. Few basics, just the purchase model. You would, out of those 5,300 titles, purchase individual resources or collections of resources. You pay once for perpetual access, and if titles go out of print, they are archived for you on the R2 Library platform and you retain access. The R2 Library is designed for discoverability, seamless integration, and there's also extensive reporting. Again, in tips and tricks, we're going to talk a lot about discoverability and integration, because certainly once you've invested to build an R2 collection, we want to give you some tools to make sure that your content is actually used. So ways to get your R2 Library content into your user's workflow. So that's a quick overview of R2. Again, if you have any questions on those, the basics or the overview business model, use that GoToWebinar tool. But jumping right into tip 1, authentication troubleshooting. I can tell you personally that authentication is our #1 customer service issue and can be the most frustrating for you and for your patrons. So again, we want to make sure that once you've invested in a collection, folks are able to access this content. To that end, the R2 Library does support multiple options: IP range authentication, referral URL, proxy server access, Athens. We really do try to support it all because we know that from a technology standpoint, your needs are across the board. So we try to accommodate those as best as possible. The tip that we want you to take away here is, if your access is not functioning as expected or gets suddenly interrupted, there's an easy way, a backdoor, for that you can diagnose what might be going on with that collection. So if you've lost that access and not sure what's happening, you can always browse to r2library.com/home/info. And you can see here on the screen, this is an access and authentication diagnosis screen. This tells you, and will tell us here at Rittenhouse, exactly what information is coming in from that session on the client side, so we can confirm for you that yes, your IP ranges that you have loaded in your profile are correct and current, your referral URL is present, anything that we would need or you would need to diagnose an interruption in service is going to be on this screen. So you're always welcome to email us at customer service or call, but this is a way that if you suddenly found yourself without access, you can do a quick check to see what might be going on and hopefully get those users back into that content as quickly as possible. So tip number one, r2library.com/home/info. Tip two, deep linking. And we talked a little bit about this in the introduction in terms of the overview of the platform, but there are really two main ways that we see folks interacting with R2 content and their collections and making those resources discoverable. The first is pretty basic, resource level links, normally found in your catalog or your A to Z list. You can export MARC records directly from the R2 library. We also partner with more than 15 third parties, commercial third parties, that support catalog and or A to Z list and or discoverability tools. So if you're working with EBSCO A to Z, OCLC, Serial Solutions, TDNet, Cyber Tools, etc., we will share metadata with just about anyone because we want to make sure if you're using one of these other products, your R2 records are available in those products. So if you are working with a third party and you don't see them on our list or you have some questions about whether or not we work with them, please just let us know. We can create that relationship and make your life a whole lot easier in terms of discoverability for your R2 library resources. The second option here is one that is equally as important but maybe not used as frequently. The R2 library provides for every chapter, section, and image a direct persistent URL. And this is where you can really start to use your R2 content, not just at the book level, but at a very specific level to power the experience for your users. These links can be directly embedded into a learning management system in an educational or academic environment, or they can be included in a hospital environment, a clinical environment, integrated into a decision support system. So users wouldn't just click a link and be taken to a book of 3,000 pages. They can be linked directly to a table, an image, or a drug dosage specific in one of your R2 library resources. This is a great way to really make this content come alive for your users, and it puts the content and information that they need in context, whether they're a student trying to master a new concept or a clinician who is looking for a particular procedure or therapy. So resource level links, chapter, section, and image direct links, always available for all R2 content. Tip three, and this is a variation on that content in context theme, the reserve shelf. The R2 library does have a tool in the administrative area that allows you to work with your faculty or staff to create course or topic specific reading lists. Those lists can be comprised of R2 library ebooks and links. You can also upload URLs to third-party content that might be relevant to that particular class, or in a hospital environment, a training session, advanced cardiac life support, for example. So once you create those lists of all of these materials, R2 materials, non-R2 materials, you can export that reserve shelf link. So this would be ideal in a LibGuide, in a learning management system, even your library webpage, or again in a clinical decision support system. So really a tool for you to collaborate with leaders, education leaders within your community, whether they're faculty or staff educators, create custom lists to support their programs and then make those lists discoverable by their users. So that's the reserve shelf, really taking that ability to collaborate to another level. Tip four, and we're going to talk a little bit about free titles and who doesn't like free. I hope that all the folks on the line are aware that the R2 Digital Library does offer more than 25 titles that can be added to any collection at any time at no charge. This list is headlined by the new edition, the 20th edition of the Merck Manual of Diagnosis and Therapy. But there are other titles there from societies and from the government printing office that are available to you. They just have to be added to a shopping cart order placed, and then they are accessible, unlimited access to your users. So to see that full list, if you've not browsed it before, you just log into the R2 admin and browse to special collections, and there's a tab there for free titles. While you're there in special collections, I just want to point out too, if you're short on time, R2 is really based on that one title, one user at a time collection development model. However, we do have some special collections clustered around high use subject areas and topics that oftentimes can be added as a group to your collection. So under special collections, you'll see things like nursing must-haves, residency essentials. Every year we do the AJN, the American Journal of Nursing Books of the Year. So you can add those special collections as a group to a shopping cart, and then even when they're in your cart, you can go through and deselect any individual titles that may not fit your collection or your collection development goal. But those special collections sometimes can be a great shortcut, particularly if you're starting a new program or you want to update your collection. So tip 4, free titles, be sure that you've taken a look, and special collections. So that was it for tips. We wanted to keep to 4, but we do have a bonus tip, which is our PDA, our patron-driven acquisition model. And this is a fantastic tool that can allow you to expand your collection, the content options you offer in your collection, even if you have a limited budget. So if you're not familiar with the R2 Digital Library PDA, this is a model that allows you with no money up front and with no mandated purchase to open any title on the platform for your users. Those users get 3 full text accesses to that content. When it's accessed the 3rd time, the title's automatically moved to your cart, and then you have 30 days in which to decide to purchase that title or not. If you don't purchase it, it's automatically removed from your cart, so we don't sort of clog all that up. So this is a great way, PDA is a great way to make content essentially for free with no strings attached, no mandated purchase for your users. I should mention too that our PDA, this last bullet item here, this is available to active and to new accounts. So in theory, you could start an R2 Digital Library collection with PDA only titles. So in addition to offering essentially free content to your users, PDA is a fantastic way over time to engage your patrons in really shaping your collection, because you can really see the data over time about which subject areas and which titles are the most frequently asked for and demanded. About 1/3 of our customers currently are using our PDA model, and overwhelmingly they've been pleased with their ability to use that PDA as a tool. They don't necessarily buy everything that triggers, but it does give them some data behind making those collection development decisions. And again, it's literally thousands of ebooks available, no initial costs. So PDA, if you're really struggling with getting user input for making collection development decisions or working with a very limited budget, this can help inform some of those increasingly tough decisions. So tip 5, the bonus tip, was PDA. So those are our tips and tricks, access and authentication. We also talked about, I'm going to go back here, deep linking and ebook linking, the reserve shelf, another discoverability tool, the free titles and special collections, and then the bonus patron driven. So I know we've got a good crowd on the line today. I'm going to ask Nicole maybe to read us a couple of the questions that have come in while we're talking. And again, this session is really for you. So Nicole, what do we have from the attendees?
Sure, and if you have a question, just use your question tool on your dashboard and send that in and we'll answer that. So glad to have you all online today. And Meg, maybe if you're okay with it, flip over to the live to R2 because one of the questions that came in is where do I go to add a PDA title? So I don't think we have a screenshot necessarily of this, so maybe we can, I'm putting her on the spot with logging R2.
There I go.
Maybe we can show everyone online where you can add a PDA title.
Okay, just picked a random account here. Apologies if this is you. If it is you, this is your moment. It's your 15 minutes of fame. You would simply just go to purchase ebooks like you would normally, and you'll see here, I haven't really filtered this. This is just the titles that are available. But as opposed to add to my collection, there's always an add to my PDA collection. So you would simply click that title. I'm not going to do it right now, so I don't add this title to someone's PDA inadvertently. But it simply is just that easy. Once I click add to my PDA, you're going to get a confirmation screen, and that title will be available. At any time, you can always, under the collection management menu here on the left, if you want to just take a look at your PDA, you've always got my R2 collection. Right underneath that is my PDA collection. Now, this customer doesn't happen to have PDA, but that's where those titles would be visible. So that's a good question. Tried to make it very simple in terms of, it's right here, right under purchase ebooks. So, and all the tools still apply. If you want to use the sort and filter, say you're interested in adding health administration essentials to PDA, you can simply use that filter here to pull just those titles up and then add those to PDA. So all of those sort and filter tools that you would use when you were looking to purchase titles, you can use to filter the list and then add the same titles to PDA. Good question. Okay, they're coming in fast and furious, so we appreciate that, everyone. Another question, which you can also demo here on the platform, how do we get MARC records for the free titles? Okay. So, easy answer, or hopefully an easy answer. So any title that's in your collection, these aren't necessarily the free titles, but it's always under tools. So anytime you would have titles in my R2 collection, you would go under tools and then export to MARC. And that would include the free titles in the collection as well. So once you click to MARC, you would say, you can either export by the page or you can export the entire collection. So whatever is visible in that screen, you would simply export to MARC. I'm just going to jump in here too. You can also, if you just click on free ebooks. Yes. Once you have the free ebooks that are on your screen, from anywhere where you're looking at a collection, you can go up and use that tool. So if you just wanted to limit it and not look at everything else in your collection, you can certainly do that. And also from your order history. So if you order them all at one time, maybe with a few other things, you wanted to grab the MARC for that specific order, you can also go into your order history and use that same tool. So I'm looking right now, this is the free resources, as Nicole mentioned, and you just go under tools, export to MARC, or you can go to order history and see, once you open that up under tools, you can export to MARC. So good. Okay, a couple more questions here, and we have some time, so we're going to go through them. Where or how can I capture a deep link? So we talked about the deep links. Maybe you can show us where to grab one. Sure. So I'm just going to open up, well, let's just do a search. So I'm going to open just a section here. This happens to be the AHA Clinical Cardiac Consult from WK, Lippincott Williams Wilkins. So you can see here, this link in the browser, literally the browser tool, is the link for that content. So I simply highlight that, use my browser tool to copy it, and I've captured it. There is an alternative way, but it essentially adds a step, but it would allow you to build lists over time. You can always save this as a course link. So when you're in the content, you can either copy and paste this URL directly, or when you're in the content, you can click Save as Course Link. And it's going to save that in your course links folder on your MyR2 desktop. So if you wanted to do multiple, you can come down here and look at my course links, and you can see this is what we've just created. So it really depends on your use case. If you're grabbing one at a time, probably better to grab it right out of the browser. If you're creating an entire list for a class, it might be better to save them all on the desktop, and then you can come in here and export them, and we'll look at what that looks like. So you can export them here or download them. Good question.
Okay, here's another question. We recently added Summon as a discovery service. Is there a way to link titles only in my R2 and my PDA and not the entire R2 digital library collection?
You know, that's really a question for Summon. We do that with other vendors. I know specifically. I'm not familiar specifically with that software. So that's really a question for them, but if you would include us in that discussion, we can certainly support that. I know we do that with OCLC and with EBSCO currently.
Yes, and I do believe if you share with them your specific collection, so just export it from my R2 collection and send it to your contact and let them know that's all you would like, I believe that that's what they need. So I've had a couple customers ask that.
That's perfect. And do keep us in the loop on that. If there's any additional specific information that they need, we absolutely send them metadata. But the specific information on your holdings, they may or may not need that to limit as you have described.
Okay. Funny question here. You've gone over a lot of tools today. Is there anywhere that I can go to have a refresher on this information?
And you know, Nicole reminded me of this prior to getting on the call today. In your admin area, if you look under here, under system information, we've got the R2 how-to videos. And there are any number of topics here that are mini tutorials, many less than 10 minutes, a couple less than 5. So R2 how-to usage reports, search and browse books for purchase, how to export those persistent URLs at the resource, chapter, section, or image level, MARC records, a few of these we had questions on today. How do I update my institutional branding, my logo, and my welcome message, any number of things. So special collection, browse by publisher, any number of topics. So yes, that's the best place to start, for sure. And of course, you can always, if you have additional questions, you know, contact us here at Rittenhouse or your sales rep, for sure.
Okay, I do see a few really specific customer queries that I'm going to contact you guys directly on after this call because we're running up to the end here. I do want to get to some more of the basic questions. Someone asked, how do I log in as the admin? So maybe we could show that.
Sure. So to log in as admin, the main administrator, your username is always your Rittenhouse account number. So if for some reason you have forgotten your Rittenhouse account number, oops, I log out of set to go back to rittenhouse.com. For some reason you have forgotten your password, you can log in with your account number and then enter your account number here and then click forgot password, and we will email your a new password so you can log in again. And here again, you can always contact Rittenhouse to help you get back authenticated, but the easiest way to do that is just remember that your username is always your account number, and you can click forgot password and we'll send a new password over.
And that's about it for today.
Are we out of time? We are out of time. Look at that. Well, we are so grateful that you chose to spend a few moments with us this afternoon. We went through a lot of information quickly, but hopefully this was a good refresher for you, or maybe you've learned something new this afternoon. We know your time is valuable, so we're grateful that you chose to spend half an hour with us. And again, any additional questions or follow-up, Nicole's got a few follow-ups for specific customers, but please do contact us, customer service at r2library.com, or you can certainly contact your sales rep. And we wish everyone a wonderful afternoon, and hopefully it's going to be springtime here before too long. So thanks so much.